This is to give you guys an awareness level of making some cuts on the equipment and also like safety in the workshop, because it's all fun and games, but these are truly dangerous pieces of equipment. Some standard safety rules for the shop is just to know your equipment, right? To read your manuals so that you know what to do, you know what it's supposed to do, you know how it goes together and how it moves. Get training, and then like wear your PPE. So your most exposed pieces of your body here are your eyes, your lungs, and like your hands usually. We don't wear gloves around the equipment because sometimes a glove can present more of a hazard than if you don't have it on, because a tip of a glove can pull your hand further in, right? Maintain a proper blade height. So your blade height should match your piece of equipment or your work piece, right? So we're pretty well set up here. You usually want the bottom of the tooth, like this is fine. You would not want to cut this piece way up here because you're throwing extra dust out. It's just, there's less teeth on the material. So you always want to size your blade height with your workpiece. Always use a push stick and push blocks when you can. So these are two examples of push blocks. There's two different styles. Depending on different cuts that you're making, this can be an extra, foot, right, for your piece. This slot, this adjustable slot, can allow you to travel over the blade, all right? So let's say I'm making a rip cut, which we'll talk about the difference in those in a second. But let's say this is my cut, right? It's really hard for me to, like, if I'm this far in, my hand's really close to it. We don't want to do that. I can't use this, right? Because that's going to get cut into it. But with this style of push block, now I can go over it, right? So that allows for blade height. This is your standard push stick. These come with the table saw. So this keeps your hand away and allows you to make a push cut. And then last important one is like maintain a clean and clear workpiece. So never reach over the blade. You may like have this thought when we're making the cuts. So you make your cut and then your off cut is just right there, right? And once you make the cut, this piece won't move anymore. And you'll see this when you make your cut. You'll have the like instinct to want to reach for it, but don't do that. So once you make your cut, just pull back, and then a lot of times what you'll do is you'll just use your push stick to flick it off. So avoid freehand cuts. So this is not a freehand cut. Like this is a nice cross cut using this stable workpiece of the sled, or this is a nice rip cut using this stable lockdown fence. What we're saying with like freehand cuts is I would never just come up here and try to make a cut without any sort of lateral support, because what you'll do is you'll almost inadvertently, unintentionally put your piece in a bind, and then it's probably going to kick back at you. Never remove the riving knife. So you guys know this gold riving knife, it serves a very important purpose. It keeps the wood so wood wants to move when you're cutting it, like unless it's super duper dry, super duper old, like most wood has tension in it. This grain has a natural tension to it. And once you cut it, you release that tension. And so sometimes the tension can be away from the blade and you may not have a problem, but sometimes that tension goes back towards the blade. And again, you're pushing on a part of the blade that you don't want to be pushing on. And that's when kickback can happen. So that's what we mean by don't remove the riving knife, because this allows for that blade movement. You still have that gap all the way through till your piece gets out of the way. Don't ever leave the saw running. Turn it off each time. We've got the power switch on the floor here today, but normally it's just right here to be able to slap and turn off. This pin doesn't allow it to be started. Avoid loose clothing and jewelry. Seems like a no-brainer. But you know, whatever clothes you're wearing that day, you might have on a long sleeve shirt or a jacket if it's winter. And again, that can introduce an extra hazard. If I have like a sloppy sleeve on here, it can grab it, take it down, and guess what's coming with it? You know, your arm. So avoid that. And same for jewelry, you know, that could be a thing too, but it's usually like your sleeves and your jackets, so.
It's not a forceful cut, it's just a nice smooth slide. We're gonna slide all the way through and then straight back and your hands stay right here, right?
The purpose of the router table, it's a very fast spinning bit on a fixed table, and depending on what bit you're using, it's going to give you a workpiece like an edge profile, or you can use different bits for like actual cuts. Now we're going to be routing a nice edge on the clean cut side, but let's talk about router table safety. It truly is one of the more dangerous tools in the shop, just because things happen so fast when they go wrong on the router table. This thing's spinning at up to 20,000 RPM. So like, look at your pieces. If you got like a knot or some funky part, if that hits a router bit, it could like take it faster than your hands and mine can react to it. That won't happen here because we're taking off a very small amount of material, but just like for your awareness, it can just happen very fast. Same thing that we talked about, avoid free-handing anything, don't reach over the bit, and never start the router with your workpiece on the bit. And this little piece, if you guys see, there's the bit going down, and there it's coming back up. Okay, just so everybody can see, like one pass, no sanding, no nothing, we've now got a perfectly smooth edge versus our sharp edge that we had before, right? Things about the bandsaw is that you want to check beforehand is your blade tension. The purpose of the blade tension is to keep a tight blade so it stays straight and consistent during a cut. And your piece should only be at this height. Now, in a perfect world, near the bottom of your guide bearings and blade guard is the top of your workpiece. So obviously this is the power button. It's in the lock position, so this won't work until I turn it into unlock. And this is the emergency stop. It's disengaged right now, but while it's going, if you want it to stop, you just slam it in. And then to release it, you twist like the arrows say, and it releases. One additional safety feature is this brake. And that's in the lower assembly, and it's actually like it pushes on the tire and stops it. thanks for your attention. Thanks for, enjoying it. I hope this gives you just a little more insight about how it feels to actually use the equipment. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks, Andy.